A young couple in China has been censored and beaten for wanting an answer on their unfinished home after property developer Sunac failed to finish their house last year. The couple is forced to pay mortgage despite not living in it a single day. Many call their experience the whole picture of people's experience in China today. Plus, the regime released a whitelist for 50 property developers in China. Let me tell you why that's the death sentence for the CCP. Welcome to China Insider, I'm David Zhang. Now, this is Liangliang and Lijun, a couple from the countryside. In 2021, after working hard to save money for a house down payment, they purchased a Sunac property in development and due to finish the following year. However, in the middle of 2022, Sunac defaulted and caused an unfinished housing crisis in China. Since 2022, Liangliang and Lijun have been on a journey to seek answers from authorities and from the developer. In their most recent video, though, the couple has decided to move back to the countryside to continue raising their daughter until one day the home is finished. The tragedy of the couple doesn't just end there. In fact, after getting married and putting the down payment on the housing crisis hit. Banks, however, does not account for that fact that the home isn't even finished and started asking them to pay back the mortgage. Now, the months since that, later, Li Jun's salary, the girl, was reduced, putting even more pressure on the couple. Li Jun then made a video where she went out to buy a piece of meat for her husband, but after finding out the price of the meat, she came back with a block of tofu instead. They shared about their backstory with hundreds of thousands of fans online. It resonated with many in China. The two are from the towns and rural countryside, and they're no more than ordinary family background and young people. They were classmates when they were studying in junior college, when they later upgraded from junior college to college undergrad and started working after graduation. They were from common backgrounds, so they started to try to get into the process of getting married. And they ended their long-distance relationship, moved together to Zhengzhou city, and that's where they worked out to get married to save up for a house. They worked the most ordinary jobs, rented cheap housing in the process, and then after they got married, they put down payment on the house. Now in China, there's parental and social pressure to get married. Couples, after they get married, have kids really fast. They buy a house and consider that the successful end to their life. After working for 3 years, Li Jun's monthly salary was only 3,000 yuan, which is about 420 US dollars. And they would do side jobs like food delivery and Ubering to get by. And then they had a daughter, which is often taken care of by the grandma while they're out to go work. Now, they started posting their experience to the Chinese version of TikTok, which is Douyin, as well as video platform Bilibili. At one point, their combined income was about 9,000 yuan, or 1,260 US dollars, and their mortgage was about 6,500 yuan, or 915 US dollars. That's like 70% of their income. Maybe my math is wrong. Now, before the two decided to move away to the countryside, they had gone to the sales office of the developer Sunac to seek answers, as the developers had promised to pay them 20,000 yuan, which is about 2,800 US dollars. However, while they were there, they turned off the lights and 5 to 6 thugs beat them up until they ended up in the hospital. And their car's tires were also punctured too. In a video after that incident, Liangliang says that he wants an answer, which in Chinese is homonym for plastic tape, and to which Li Jun places a strip of tape over his mouth, signaling that he had been silenced by authorities. After the latest video of them leaving, Chinese internet censors suspended their accounts online and blocked their reach. For the incident had sparked a wide social reaction across China. Many are calling the couple the real representation of Chinese people in this generation. Despite low birth rates and marriage rates in China, the couples did it. Despite poor housing outlooks, the couples did it. Despite low salary, the couples did it. They did everything the country and the government asked them to do to get married, have kids, buy houses. Yet, what did the country do for them in return? Beat them up and silence them. Young couples go through their ambitious 20s only to be defeated by the system. And many say that this is one in millions of couples in China who are also going through the same type of defeat at the hands of communist regime. Now, people online gave them the title of the most law-abiding, most optimistic, most hardworking couple in China to have met the iron fist of communism. Now, they don't deserve, apparently, Xi Jinping's China dream, but they deserve much more than that. Many are calling their attempt a spark in the forest, or others say that it's futile against the current system. Before we continue, let me talk about the special sale that's going on. Right now, Blueberry is having its Right now, Blueberry is having its Black Friday sale with some of the products going on for as low as 50% off, like the Sohwasu skincare set, which after discount is only $99.54, as well as the High Mountain Tea is also on sale, and the Derma Roller masks. They're all on sale. Now, you should check it out because this, specifically the Sohwasu skin brand, is loved by Korean celebrities like Rosé from Blackpink, famous actress Song Hye-kyo. I call it the Porsche of skincare. Now, if you're looking for a great gift for your loved ones, this is the time to buy. The discount will give you the lowest price of the year, and the duration is limited. It also contributes to help this channel grow, and the event will end on midnight of November 27th. So if you missed it, you have to wait for the next sale, which is a year later. So we recommend that you grab some now. Now, for all the other items that are not listed under the sales tab, you can still use my code DAVID, and you will receive 15% off, and free shipping in the US if you spend $70 or more. So check out the link in the description. Now, to this day, Sunac has not given an answer on the timeline of the housing project, as the company itself is going through restructuring. But if Evergrande was any indication, this restructuring is likely to fail. Now, here's a brief summary of how real estate works in China. Sunac, of course, is not the largest compared to Evergrande in terms of number of projects, but it's still considered top 5. Developers will take money they get from pre-sale, which is often sponsored by local governments too, since the local government benefits from more land sales, more projects, more money. Now, they basically create this Ponzi scheme, right? Hyping up the property and creating a false sense of urgency. But because many in China live in that environment, seeing buying a house as the ultimate end goal, they often fall for this. Developers will say that if you don't buy now, it could get more expensive, blah, blah, blah. And they attract buyers like Liangliang and Lijun, who throw down their savings. Once they get the money, instead of using it to finish the homes, they often go to the bank and to basically get more loans and start building more projects, do more pre-sales. In actuality, the funds are not there. It's not enough to sustain more than one project. When the company defaults, it causes the hollow process to be revealed and funds that were never there to begin with, which would have been allocated to the project, causes them to become unfinished homes. Now, according to new data, there are at least 20 million unfinished projects across China, mounting to a total of 3.2 trillion RMB in costs to finish them. And for reference, the Chinese GDP sits at around 32 trillion RMB. So about 10% of the GDP is dead housing. Yeah, it's a big mess. And by unfinished, we really mean a lack of working elevator, maybe there's no parking garage, running water, heating, finished homes, community drainage, garbage systems, etc. Right? So you cannot live physically in that place without functioning utilities and so on. Anyways, the reason why Liangliang and Lijun have to pay the mortgage, even though they never really lived in the property to begin with, is because there's no accountability to hold the developers responsible for them to pay it back or to finish the homes.
I forgot to add that the fact that if you don't pay back the mortgage issued by the bank, they place you on a no confidence low credit list, aka the social credit system. So now you get blacklisted from taking a train, flying on a plane, and visiting public places. And unless you're willing to live in a prehistoric period in modern China where everything is digital, you basically have no way to survive if you get on the bad side of the banks. And that's why people are forced to pay it back.
And in fact, this is so-called pre-sale for homes is actually quite common across Asia, in Taiwan, Hong Kong. And in Hong Kong, where this situation sort of started, where Evergrande learned their business model, is the unique pre-sale actually has laws backing it. There's strict regulations on how long a developer can build that project before it is considered unfinished, and so it's lawful for people to ask for their money back if they want to. And in China, the local government seems to have learned the first part with the developers, which is to build and to do the pre-sale, but they forgot that there's regulations that need to be enforced. And so the government is always on the side of the developers, right? They can make more money if they develop more projects. Whereas banks, they want to get their money back. And so they will simply start asking for the mortgage payments from the buyer, regardless if the project is done or not. Because in their eyes, they need the money. So as a buyer in China, there's no institution that sides with them. And in fact, most banks of decent scale are tied to the local government anyways. So the ones that get screwed over is always the people like the couples. Now, the central government today has desperately tried to revive the dying economy, and part of that is the messiness of the Chinese real estate. They came out with a new whitelist, some sort of a revival strategy. Basically, the government is mandating 50 real estate developers in China to be on the list, and banks have to loan to these developers, no questions asked. On the list include the heavily indebted Country Garden and other basically fraudulent developers. While the final list is not out yet, we can already call the trend. The government is bailing out the top 50, no matter how bad their credit and borrow history would be. But you might be asking, well, what if they don't pay? What happens to the bank? Well, the banks, they have no choice but to get money somehow. Maybe they'll end up taking the savings of the average Joe in China to make up for it. Yep, the CCP is so smart, they're making the people pay for the developers once again. Not only that, this could end really badly for the banks. There's no guarantee that the loans could, given to these developers could actually see any return on investment, considering there's trillions in dead properties already. We're already seeing 2,000 unfinished buildings. What makes them think that they're going to build more and finish more? They're not going to do that. So given that no one in China is buying homes right now, the market is looking to be the worst it's ever been since home ownership became a thing again in the 80s. What's more, outside of those 50 developers on the whitelist, every other developer will be on the unspoken blacklist. Think about it, right? If the government mandates these 50 companies, then who's going to buy from the blacklisted companies? They're basically the tens of thousands of other developers who didn't make the list, likely because they didn't have the political connection or it wasn't strong enough. So this is the death sentence for Xi Jinping's attempt to revive the Chinese housing market. As one China market watcher says, it's the negative examples we learn in the textbooks being used in real life by the CCP. And it's crazy. All right, that's it today for the episode on the 90s couple facing a real situation in China where their unfinished homes result in them getting beaten up by the authorities, by life, and everything else, and China's crazy whitelist for developers. If you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment below your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel today. Until next time, bye-bye.